Ladies, let's get one thing straight. There is nothing more magnetic than a woman who knows her worth and refuses to beg for anyone's attention. We've been told for too long that love means sacrifice, that relationships require us to bend, shrink, and mold ourselves into someone more likable. But here's the truth. Men don't respect what they can easily have. They don't cherish the woman who overextends herself, who waits by the phone, who overexplains, who proves her worth instead of simply knowing it. Ladies, let's talk about something that changes everything, not just in love, but in life. Detachment. The moment you understand this, you will stop begging for love, you will stop over-explaining yourself, and you will finally step into the kind of power that makes people, especially men, gravitate toward you effortlessly. So what is detachment? Let's be clear. It doesn't mean you stop caring. It doesn't mean you turn cold or emotionally unavailable. No, detachment is something much deeper. It is the unshakable belief that your worth is not tied to anyone's presence or absence in your life. It is the quiet confidence of knowing that you are enough, that you are whole, and that you do not need to grip, chase, or control anything to keep it. Think about this. When you desperately hold on to something, what happens? It slips through your fingers. The harder you chase, the faster it runs. But when you let go, when you lean back, when you trust, when you exude confidence instead of neediness, everything that's meant for you comes naturally. Men feel this energy. They're drawn to it. Because deep down, they want to earn a woman, not be handed her on a silver platter. They want to feel like they have something rare, something valuable, and nothing is more valuable than a woman who is self-sufficient, who doesn't need constant validation, who doesn't beg for love but simply attracts it. But let's be honest, detachment isn't always easy. Society has conditioned us to believe that love means holding on for dear life, that relationships require sacrifice to the point of losing yourself. We've been taught to overextend, to prove our worth, to do more so that we can be chosen. But a truly powerful woman understands this. She is already chosen the moment she chooses herself. A detached woman isn't afraid to walk away, not because she doesn't care, but because she knows she doesn't have to force something that isn't working. She doesn't wait by the phone. She doesn't analyze every little text message. She doesn't need a man to validate her existence. And you know what happens when you embrace detachment? Men start chasing you, people start respecting you, opportunities start flowing toward you. Because the moment you stop grasping so tightly, the universe responds. So stop thinking you have to control everything. Stop thinking that if you let go, you'll lose. The real loss is losing yourself in the process of holding on to someone who was never truly meant to be yours. The most irresistible woman in the world is the one who knows her worth, sets her standards, and trusts that what is meant for her will never require her to beg. That is the power of detachment. And once you master it, you will never chase anything again, because everything you desire will start chasing you. Let's talk about something that's been true since the beginning of time. Men are wired to pursue, to conquer, to win. They chase what feels just out of reach, and the moment something becomes too easy, too predictable, too available, it loses its thrill. Now, this doesn't mean playing games or manipulating emotions. It means understanding the natural dynamics of attraction. Men don't desire what they can have without effort. They don't cherish what requires no work. The moment a woman becomes too accessible, too eager, too willing to give everything without a second thought, she loses that aura of mystery and value that keeps men invested. Think about it. Have you ever noticed how men go after things that seem unattainable? The woman who walks into a room and commands attention without demanding it. The woman who doesn't rush to reply to every message, who isn't always available, who isn't bending over backward to fit into his schedule. She isn't mean. She isn't playing hard to get. She simply has a life, priorities, and a deep sense of self-worth. And what happens? Men lean in. They start wondering what she's thinking. They start trying harder to earn her attention. It's basic human psychology. People value what they have to work for. When something is too easy, it's taken for granted. The reason men chase women they can't control is because they love the challenge. They love the idea of winning over a woman who chooses them but doesn't need them. Now, let's be real. Society has told women that being overly giving, overly accommodating, and endlessly available is the way to keep a man, but that couldn't be further from the truth. A woman who is too predictable, who never says no, who revolves her entire existence around a man, is a woman who will eventually be overlooked. Why? Because there's no challenge, there's no depth, there's no intrigue. The woman who keeps a man interested is the woman who remains a bit of a mystery. Not because she's hiding anything, but because she has layers, she has depth. She has a world that doesn't revolve around him. She doesn't chase, she doesn't over-explain, she doesn't force anything. She allows things to unfold naturally, and in doing so, she keeps him wanting more. A man is most drawn to a woman when he feels he can't fully figure her out, when he knows she's interested, but also knows that if he stops putting in effort, she will walk away. That's the energy that makes a woman unforgettable. And here's the kicker. It's not about making a man chase you. It's about becoming a woman who naturally inspires pursuit. The moment you stop trying so hard, the moment you stop seeking validation, the moment you stop needing to control the outcome, you become the kind of woman men can't resist. Men don't fall in love with a woman they can control. They fall in love with a woman they can't bear to lose. Be that woman. Let's get one thing straight. Detachment is not indifference. A lot of people misunderstand this concept. They think that being detached means shutting down emotionally, acting like they don't care, or becoming cold and distant. But that's not detachment. That's fear disguised as strength. True detachment is power. It's knowing how to love without losing yourself. It's giving your heart without placing your entire self-worth in someone else's hands. It's allowing people to come and go without trying to control them or force an outcome. Indifference, on the other hand, is rooted in apathy. It's a defense mechanism. It's when someone shuts down emotionally because they're afraid of getting hurt. They stop caring, they withdraw, they act like nothing affects them. And let's be honest, that's not attractive, nor is it healthy. Love, connection, and passion all require depth. A detached woman doesn't lack depth, she just doesn't cling. Let's break this down. 1. Detachment is about self-respect, not avoidance. A detached woman can love deeply, but she doesn't lose herself in the process. She can give without overgiving. She knows that her happiness doesn't depend on any one person. If someone treats her well, she appreciates them. If someone disrespects her, she doesn't tolerate it. She doesn't beg, she doesn't argue for her worth, she simply walks away. An indifferent woman, on the other hand, doesn't care either way. She's emotionally closed off. She won't invest in anyone because she's afraid of being vulnerable. That's not power, that's fear. 2. Detachment is choosing, not chasing. A detached woman doesn't chase. She doesn't force relationships. She understands that what's meant for her will stay and what's not meant for her will leave. And she's at peace with that. She knows that love is about choosing each other every day, not about begging someone to stay. An indifferent woman doesn't choose or chase, she just disconnects. She refuses to engage, to care, or to invest in any real way. That's not attractive. People want to feel valued, they just don't want to feel owned. 3. Detachment creates attraction, indifference kills it. Here's the paradox. When you're too available, too eager, too attached, people tend to take you for granted. But when you're indifferent, you create emotional distance that makes it impossible to form deep, meaningful connections. The key is balance. Men are drawn to women who are secure in themselves. A woman who wants him but doesn't need him. A woman who enjoys his company but isn't afraid to be alone. That's what makes her magnetic. That's what makes him put in the effort. But if you become indifferent, if you act like you don't care, if you refuse to open up, he won't chase you. He'll feel like there's no emotional reward in being with you, and eventually he'll stop trying. For detachment is about trust, not control. A detached woman trusts herself and trusts the flow of life. She doesn't feel the need to control every situation. She doesn't panic when a man doesn't text back right away. She doesn't jump to conclusions, and she doesn't assume the worst. She simply observes, responds, and moves accordingly. An indifferent woman, on the other hand, doesn't trust. She simply doesn't care. She doesn't open up, she doesn't invest, and she doesn't allow herself to feel deeply. But love requires trust. And you can't build anything meaningful with someone if you never let them in. 5. Detachment is freedom, indifference is avoidance. When you master detachment, you become free. Free to love without fear, free to walk away when necessary, free from overthinking, overanalyzing, and overexplaining. You radiate confidence because you know that your happiness is never dependent on one person, one relationship, or one outcome. Indifference, however, is just a way to avoid pain. It's a wall that keeps people at a distance. And while it might protect you from heartbreak, it also keeps you from experiencing real love, real passion, and real connection. Detachment isn't about playing games. It's not about making someone jealous, waiting hours to respond to a text, or pretending you don't care. It's about truly knowing your worth and not settling for anything less than what aligns with your value. A detached woman can love a man deeply, but she will never cling to him. She can care for him fully, but she will never lose herself in him. And that's the difference. Indifference is the absence of love. Detachment is the presence of self-love. Once you master that, you'll realize that the only thing more powerful than a woman who loves deeply is a woman who loves deeply but is willing to walk away when she's no longer valued. And trust me, men can't resist that. Let's talk about the difference between chasing and being chosen. Because the truth is, a high-value woman doesn't chase, she attracts. She doesn't beg to be loved, she commands respect. And the moment you shift from seeking validation to knowing your worth, you become the prize. But let's be real, most women have been conditioned to believe that they need to earn a man's love. We've been told to be more accommodating, to prove we are good enough, to be the cool girl who tolerates anything just to keep a man interested. We've been taught that love is about doing more, giving more, sacrificing more. But here's the reality. Men don't cherish what is handed to them without effort. They value what they have to work for. They commit to the woman who carries herself as a prize, not because she's playing hard to get, but because she genuinely knows her worth. So how do you shift from chasing to becoming the prize? 1. Stop seeking external validation. One of the biggest mistakes women make is constantly looking for approval. They measure their worth based on how much attention a man gives them. If he texts back, they feel happy. If he doesn't, they feel anxious. But a woman who knows she is the prize doesn't need external validation. She validates herself. She knows that whether a man texts her or not, she is still worthy, still beautiful, still powerful. She doesn't live in a state of waiting. She lives in a state of abundance. And what happens when you stop needing validation? You become magnetic. Men can sense the difference between a woman who needs their attention to feel good about herself and a woman who is already whole. And trust me, they chase the one who doesn't need them but chooses them. 2. Prioritize yourself first. Ask yourself, when was the last time you truly put yourself first? Not in a selfish way, but in a way that prioritizes your happiness, your growth, your life. A woman who is the prize has a full life outside of a man. She has passions, goals, dreams, hobbies. She doesn't drop everything the moment a man enters the picture. She doesn't rearrange her schedule just to accommodate him. She doesn't make him the center of her universe, because she is the center of her own. And what does this do? It keeps him intrigued. Men love a woman who has a life of her own because it means she isn't dependent on them for happiness. She brings something exciting and unique to the table. She isn't just waiting around for someone to complete her. Set high standards and stick to them. A woman who is the prize doesn't lower her standards just to keep a man around. She has clear boundaries and she enforces them. If a man is inconsistent, she doesn't tolerate it. If he disrespects her, she walks away. If he plays games, she doesn't engage. She isn't afraid to lose a man because she knows that losing a man who doesn't respect her is never really a loss. And here's the truth. High standards don't push the right men away, they attract them. The wrong men might leave, but the right men will step up. Because a man of value wants a woman of value. He wants someone who challenges him, who inspires him, who holds herself with confidence. 4. Shift your energy from chasing to attracting. Chasing is needy energy. It comes from a place of lack, like you believe you need to convince someone to want you. But a woman who is the prize doesn't chase. She attracts. She does this by being confident in herself. She doesn't overthink whether she's good enough. She knows she is. Focusing on self-improvement, she invests in her mind, body, and spirit, always striving to be the best version of herself, radiating positive energy. She isn't bitter or desperate. She is secure, happy, and at peace. And here's the magic. When you shift into this mindset, men notice. They feel the difference. They are naturally drawn to a woman who doesn't need them but is open to them. 5. Be willing to walk away. This is the ultimate test of whether you truly see yourself as the prize. Are you willing to walk away from anything that doesn't meet your standards. A woman who is the prize never clings to something that isn't serving her. She doesn't beg for love. She doesn't accept breadcrumbs. She doesn't tolerate half-hearted effort. She understands that the right man will recognize her value. She doesn't need to prove herself, convince anyone, or fight for attention. She simply lives in her worth, and the right people rise to meet her. Final thoughts? The difference between a woman who chases and a woman who is chased is simple: self-worth. The moment you stop seeking and start knowing that you are enough, everything shifts. Men don't fall in love with a woman they can easily have. They fall in love with a woman they can't bear to lose. So be that woman. Be the one who chooses herself first, who moves with confidence, who never settles for less than she deserves. Because the second you do, you'll realize something powerful. You were the prize all along.